Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Clicks and Giggles. I have a new guest with me today. I have Steve Lee. Hi there, Steve.
Hey Dan, how are you?
I'm very well, very well. Steve, I'm going to put you in the spotlight now. Where would you say your area of expertise are within the world of digital marketing?
Difficult to pin it down to any one, but I suppose strategic e-commerce marketing has always been something that my past experience leans heavily on. Putting together strategies and go-to-market plans for emerging businesses. But yeah, I've certainly over time, whilst I've become more senior in the positions I've done, I've always sort of kept in touch with my being on the tools. So, for example, I'm still quite the ads man, as I am for Strategy Plus in terms of Google ads and Meta ads. And also, I'd like to think that I've kept abreast of all of the changes with AEO, and I'm helping a lot of clients now transition into a new world of zero-click search.
Yeah, okay. Well, not entirely zero click, I hope, but yes, it's certainly decreasing, and AEO is becoming more prevalent. And you're obviously sort of on top of things when it comes to everything AI and also video creation. And it's always a topic of conversation about where we can use kind of AI video and how does that sort of fit within the mix of content, authentic and otherwise. And talking about authentic and things that aren't AI, this topic for today is reviews. So the whole idea of reviews is that we get real feedback and responses from people, human people, which is not always the case because I think you'll probably get AI bots and all this kind of stuff trying to give reviews. But I think Google and the rest of them do try and delete any sign of spammy reviews. But yes, today is the topic of reviews and how important are they? So, what would today we're not talking about every kind of review. We're not talking about like product reviews. If you have a search for golf balls, for example, there might be an article there saying top 10 golf balls for 2026, and then it links off to Amazon and all the rest of it. Not talking about that. We're talking about review platforms. So, what are the review platforms that you can think of, Steve?
Well, Google's probably the one that I come across most often. I mean, that's been so important for some people that I do business with over the years, particularly when I moved to a new area, for example, and I was looking for someone to repair my car. Uh, Going onto Google and not having any kind of local connections that I could verify, try and understand the quality of this business, the businesses in the area, how good they were, whether they had satisfied customers, whether they were honest, which is always a concern when you're having your car fixed. I think I found someone on Google. It's just an example, but I found someone on Google that I've probably spent £2,000 or £3,000 with over the years, and I think that kind of being able to trust the opinions of other people when you don't have anyone else to ask is a brilliant acquisition strategy for customers. So Google really is absolute bread and butter. And then, of course, recently booked a holiday and I'm reminded of, and also some activities to do while on that holiday. I'm reminded of the importance of things like TripAdvisor reviews. Again, looking for a good star rating and try to pick out some comments. And obviously, we have this AI summary now that sort of tries to summarize as many reviews as possible. But I think for hospitality, that's super important. And then beyond that, when I'm booking on sites like booking.com, I'll pay a lot of attention to the reviews. I won't contemplate anything below 8 when I'm booking there. And similarly, e-commerce sites, even though those on the owned platforms, such as someone's e-commerce or Shopify site, those reviews can be heavily curated, and a lot of the poor reviews can be left out. I think we just naturally, as humans, have a tendency to trust what other people say.
Yeah, and I think again, if you're looking for, I don't know, a plumber, electrician, or it could be anything. People have come to the sort of town or whatever, and they're looking for a school, a nursery, a hairdressers, anything really, and they'll ask in the local Facebook group. But sometimes you haven't got time to wait for people to reply, have you? You just want to get on and do it yourself. So I think you just naturally have a look at the reviews. And it's sometimes you do actually have a look, and what comes up, they've hardly got any reviews, and it's really hard to make that decision. I think you then go to Facebook and go, Look, I've looked around. Does anybody else know any builders? Because I mean, builders are notoriously bad at digital marketing. I think they're so much in demand that they don't care. Their websites are dreadful, non-existent. They've got sort of Gmail emails. Their marketing is just non-existent. But they don't, it doesn't matter because they've got business, word of mouth, and all the rest of it. But it's quite hard from the consumer to actually figure out who's legit and who isn't. So I think any search that happens in Google and you put a location on the end of it, Google Maps appear. And then we've got to try and figure out how important is reviews to try and make sure that you are found within Google Maps. So every time you search for something, Google might index maybe 40, 50 businesses in that locality, whether it's Birmingham, a town called Beverly, or whatever. They'll find, tens of results in and about that area. How do you make sure that you're in that top 3 or 4 without advertising, of course? So how important are the reviews to making sure that you're in that top list of results within the Google Maps? How would you sort of what are the KPIs that are within the algorithm for Google for ranking local businesses?
Well, I know that reviews are an important factor. I wouldn't say they're necessarily one of the most important factors, certainly for websites, but for the Google My Business panel, or the Google Business Profile, as they refer to it now, I think that quantity of reviews is massively helpful, and there's no point having quantity of reviews if half of them are rubbish. So I think just being able to have lots and lots of reviews on there does we have evidence, and Google themselves say that will boost your Google Business Profile panel on the right side of the desktop when you search for a business in a local area. And then obviously there's the secondary part, is making sure that those reviews are good, reviewing those reviews, replying to reviews, if to make sure that your star rating is good first and foremost, because with Google, the star rating and the reviews go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the relevance of the business. So, if someone's searching for, I don't know, MOT garage Birmingham. So the relevance within the profile. So I think the actual profile itself is significant. I think it was Bright Local or Google itself was saying sort of 30% leans towards the actual profile signal. So what information are you putting in there? What category of business are you putting there? What's the name of the business? What's the address? Phone, of all these kind of things that you put in there, that's kind of 30% of the ranking factors. And then you've got distance. So obviously how far away from the person or the locality that they're searching from is the business, which is, you can't really do much about that. And then prominence. And the prominence I think is down to reviews, the amount of posts you do, the amount of images, but also the reviews. I think they say 20% of the ranking factor is down to the quantity and the quality of those reviews. So it does have a significant, amount to play with ensuring that your business is found above your competitors and generate a lot of traffic and inquiries for you.
And are those stats around the business profile findability?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it just underlines how important it is for local businesses, particularly, doesn't it? And I also think that people have a greater tolerance when they're researching for local services. They have a greater tolerance to consider the top 10 or even top 20. I'll certainly look through to see who's got the most reviews, and I'll kind of do some kind of equation in my head, although it's probably heavily weighted by some cognitive biases. But I'll probably do some calculation in my head. Is that like a site that's got 4.9 or 5-star Google reviews, but it's only got 10 reviews, I'll probably give it less credibility than a site that's got 500 4.5 reviews. I think quantity is really important, isn't it? And making sure that, just showing that you're established and that you've served a lot of customers. If you can get 500 people to leave a positive review, by the way, you're doing something right. Even if there are a lot of people that have a poor experience with you, as inevitably high volume businesses might suffer from. But if you can get 500 people to leave positive reviews for you, I mean, that's going to be a small amount of the people that actually do business with you. A higher amount if you use the right tools to get those reviews in. But it does demonstrate that you've been in business for a while. You've got a lot of satisfied customers behind you, and you're a serious business.
Yeah, I think it's basically how much trust do you have? It's unlikely if you've got 500 reviews and you've got a 4 out of 5 rating, the likelihood of having a bad experience is much less, I would suggest, than if you had a 4.5% rating and you only had 10 reviews. So out of that 10 reviews, you might have had 2 bad reviews or something like that. So I think it's quite a bit risky because obviously people are going to ask their friends and mates to be able to leave 10 reviews, but to try and leave 500 reviews is quite hard going. You've got,
Yeah, and
I'm
what does it tell you? Sorry, Dan. I'll just what I was going to say is, what does it tell you about a business that's got that many reviews? It tells you that they care about their reputation, and whether that's kind of purely altruistic or just genuinely selfish. Ultimately, you want to do business with businesses that care about their reputation, because if they care about their reputation, inevitably, by extension, they have to care about their customer experience. So anyone that's actually, even curating reviews, asking for reviews, pushing those reviews into, pushing those reviews onto their own sites or encouraging reviews through third-party platforms, it goes to show that those people are receptive to what people say by definition, and that's who
yeah,
you want to be working with and doing business with.
yeah. I mean, Bright Local again, they're saying like 97% of consumers read reviews. 41% will always read them, which is a big figure. So I think reviews are massively important, and not just for local businesses, not just for hospitality businesses or service industry. It could be any kind of employer. So most people have heard of a website called Glassdoor. That's where employees can leave reviews for their employers, and the employers can have a profile on there and try and sort of sell themselves to future employees. So I think they're saying 83% of job seekers are likely to research companies' ratings and reviews when deciding where to apply, which kind of makes sense. So even for any kind of employer that really cares about attracting the best kind of candidate, needs to start looking at sort of Glassdoor as well and the reviews that they have there, but also just generally the Google My Business reviews to make sure that candidates can see them providing a good service already and can be trusted. So what do you do when you get bad reviews? Because it's inevitable. Either it's on the odd occasion you do get a customer might have a bad experience, might catch you on an off day. It could be, a competitor asking a friend to leave a bad review. But whatever the reason is, you might get a bad review. I mean, what would be your advice on dealing with that?
Well, the royal family say never explain, never apologize, right? So that's certainly one approach, and it might work for some people, but generally, I would encourage people to engage. I was recently working with someone in hospitality who had some reviews about, who'd had some very negative reviews around things such as food poisoning and things like that. I think you need to take reviews seriously. It's probably not the right platform for it from the customer's point of view, and you have every right to get a bit upset that you're getting things your dirty linen washed in public and so like. But in reality, like, you need to show people that you're listening. I think you need to show firstly, in the first place, any customer that leaves a negative review, you want to make sure that they know that you're actually receptive to doing something about their poor experience if it's genuine. But also, in many ways, you should try and send that. I believe there's different approaches, of course. You should try to send out a trust signal to people, to other prospective customers that might see that review, that either you've taken it on board and learned from it, or maybe give some extra context around the realities, because obviously people can write reviews in anger. I do definitely think that engaging with negative reviews is probably something that businesses should be doing. And obviously, the more reviews the more you care about your reputation, the more chance you have to engage with the positive reviews as well. So, thanking people for leaving positive reviews, as well as just responding to some of the negative ones if there are any.
Yeah, I think again, Bright Local. I'm not in any way affiliated with Bright Local, but they're saying that 89% of consumers expect business owners to respond to reviews. I think it's quite clear. How you respond to it is kind of up to you. Just making sure that you're taking it seriously, as you say, maybe adding some context. So to a third party, they're probably thinking, well, actually, there's two sides to the story here, without maybe putting off that customer or sort of being flippant about them. But I have got a couple of examples where businesses have kind of turned it on its head, a bad review. So here's one. I saw it on social media that it got shared quite considerably. sorry, Sandra, if you see this, but you had strong feelings about eating at this establishment. Everything seemed fine until she left. She finished and was about to leave, and my partner noticed a bunch of vegan propaganda plastered all over the notice board by the exit. Seriously? We looked over the menu again and realized it was all vegan. Why hide that fact? Well, clearly they didn't hide the fact because they had all the propaganda and they read the menu again and it stated vegan. So they didn't hide it. They had an enjoyable meal, but for some reason were disgusted in the fact that they didn't actually eat an animal that day. They ate a plant that seemed to taste just as good. So I think it was a kind of a vegan social media profile saw this, or maybe it was the business that kind of shared it online, and the vegan kind of quite a popular profile shared it and made a bit of a kind of a mockery of the carousel of how they thought Sandra was dealt with that day, and why she felt so bad about it. But that's one example of how you can actually turn it around on its head and actually give yourself a bit more sort of brand awareness and what have you. And
I mean, I smell a rat here. I think that I think that might have been confected in its
well,
entirety.
somebody else, I think it was shared on the local Facebook group as well. But that person does have like 27 odd reviews. It wasn't just a made up profile and this, that, the other. And the other reviews did seem sort of legit. So,
legit, yeah.
and
But
and
I
that
still think
review
it's
has been brought down, has been taken down since then. So whether or not Sandra's seen that and thought, right, well, I'm not having that anymore, but I'm not too sure. But yes, that could have happened.
Was confected as I suggest. Like it kind of almost goes to, and I think that could very well be a bit of clever PR to suggest like even these like kind of carnivores, these ardent carnivores that refuse to touch anything that's remotely vegan, came and had a full meal without noticing that there wasn't any meat in it. It feels like it feels a little bit too good to be true, but it just goes to show that someone that's going for a good PR play sees a review platform as a good place to do that PR. Yeah. And I think that says a lot about the importance of reviews and the understanding that marketing companies might have about their importance.
Yeah. And another company I knew, I actually interviewed this guy for a local kind of website that we managed for the Jewelry Quarter in Birmingham.
So this is definitely real then, yeah?
These are legit. These are legit. He became famous because he would reply to these poor reviews, and he's got an incredible restaurant. I think he's got Michelin star now, at least in the Michelin Guide. Incredible place, but you always get the odd person that thinks they're the Times critique and feel like that their voice should be heard, and they're going to give an absolutely horrendous review. So it's like one. I mean, how can you give a 1-star review? I think they spent £320. Well, it's a robbery, right? Okay, so the owner, I think his name's Adam. I interviewed him probably about 8 years ago, but a delight to finally be called trendy. So thank you for that. That's where the positives of this end. A bit of an odd one, because I totally get that you were gifted a voucher, so plausibly found yourself compelled to visit a restaurant that clearly isn't for you. From your disdain of the music we play and our brand colours, and frankly odd reference to après-ski, I think it's fair a deduction that our two worlds are very different. Yada yada yada. So I mean, I basically went to TripAdvisor and had a look all the 1-star, and it's Alex, sorry, not Adam. And he just tells them as it is. Basically saying, look, our tastes are very different. Don't worry about not coming back, kind of thing. And I quite like that honesty. I don't want them to sort of mug people off unnecessarily. But when you get like a 1-star review and you know perfectly well that your place is serving up incredible food and all the rest of it, then I think you might have fair say to go back to them with that kind of response. So.
Well, so he just in that sense, he certainly comes off as someone who sort of stands by his principles and believes in what he does. So as long as this brand essence is coming across, whether that be just defending yourself against something that's kind of abjectly negative and maybe unnecessarily so, or whether you're actually standing for who you are and what you represent in the case of this guy, I think that's again, it's just another opportunity to assert your
Yeah.
personality and stand up for what you believe in, who you are.
Yeah, it's in line with his branding and all the rest of it. It's quite an edgy restaurant anyway, so that's kind of fair. You might, if it was a nursery, you probably might not go back with that kind of poultry response, but it certainly fitted his brand, and I think it got some good publicity off the back of it. So if I share my screen once again, just to give people absolute clarity about what we're talking about here when it comes to Google My Business and the reviews there. If you search for anything in the locality, you get the sponsored results at the top, always. Well, not always, but pretty much always. Google have got to make some money, haven't they? And then you get the map. So it's right at the top, and you don't have to pay for this. You do sometimes get some ads in here. There you go, sponsored Google Map listing there. So this is what you're trying to get in this top three. You can find more businesses, but these are the most prominent, okay? And you can see that we've got the most kind of reviews here. And if you look into, and I'm going to show you now a platform that we've invested in, that we find answers most of the issues that businesses find in trying to get more reviews and trying to manage them and manage any kind of risk and make it easy to sort of respond to all of these and save you time. So this particular platform gives you some insights into how you're ranking in Google My Business. So you can see that's where our office in Birmingham is located. So you can see that we are kind of one or two within that kind of area of Birmingham, but not so much in these areas. There are other ways in trying and get your business listed in different localities around. Is it geotagging images and that kind of thing? Making sure you've got certain image location names within responses and that kind of thing. There are ways to try and improve your chances around and about, and it will tell you who your competitors are. And how and it's no surprise that the people at the top have got 190 reviews, 157. These are literally in order of the amount of reviews they have, and this is how they are ranking. So I think it's quite clear that the amount of reviews that you have boost your rankings within Google My Business. So that's giving you a bit of an insight. And then this platform gives you an overall score, what's your average rating and all this kind of stuff. But why I really like this platform is that it kind of helps you get more reviews with less risk. So we have gone from time to time, gone through sort of little sort of campaigns to get more reviews, but we do it literally sort of 5 at a time. We ask people within the team going, right, which client are you working with at the moment that you'd like to ask for a review? I hate asking for a review, but it's just part of the business. And then they'll all ask, and so we get some over time, 1 or 2 a month. But I'm hesitant to just mass email all our clients to say, wouldn't it be great to give us a review? We really appreciate it. Thanks very much, because there's always 1 or 2 that might not give 100% 5-star review kind of thing. So you're always a little bit hesitant, aren't you? Whereas with this platform, you can send out a request via SMS, WhatsApp, email. Email is probably what I would prefer, and it will have a link in there. You can also have a QR code. So if you've got a locality where people come in, like a clinic, a restaurant, a hairdresser, anything like that, and they come in and sit in the reception desk or at a table, there's a QR code. You click that and it will go to a link. And then that will ask them, right, how would you rate us out of 5? And you can kind of set it so that you might not want reviews under 4 stars. So if they select 3 stars, it will redirect them to a feedback form to give you feedback. If they give a 4 or 5 star, it will then redirect them to your platforms of choice. Where do you want reviews? Is it Google? Is it TripAdvisor, Trustpilot, whatever it is? And then they select which one it is, and they can leave their review. So there's that little filter that gives you a bit confidence that you're not going to attract any negative reviews. So that's a way to try and bolster extra reviews. And the platform also gives you little sort of add-ons like widgets. So once you get the reviews, you can get these different widgets that you can add to your website. because obviously these are social proof. It'd be good to have on your website, so people come to your website, have a look at your services, and see all your great reviews. They're more likely to make contact with you. So that's another little add-on that you have. You can manage your profile from here. So you Google My Business profile, you can add updates, add images, all that kind of stuff. You can also reply to reviews here. This also gives you the ability to be able to reply using an AI agent. So that is an option. It's up to people whether or not they want to allow AI to reply to messages. Depends on how many you get and how much resources you have inside internally. If you've got one review a week, I think you should be doing it manually yourself. If you're getting sort of 5 a day, it could take a bit of time up. So you might just lean on some AI to do some of the replying. So this is kind of how it works. You have this option here. I've given a 4, so then it gives people an option to leave a review on Google or Facebook. And that's the QR code that people can print off if necessary. So that is a platform we have invested in, and we have literally just kind of launched it. We're just in the middle of warming up the emails, so we've got to create a new email to send out all the requests. So we've got to make sure that's going to land in people's inboxes. So once that email is warmed up, we're actually going to use it ourselves, and we're going to sort of present the results of that first kind of email campaign and review request to see how many do we get in response, like how many reviews did we have before and what was the rating, how many did we have afterwards and what was the rating, and also we can have a look at the score in terms of how are we ranking within the map, have we seen a difference in that. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So what are your
it looks it looks complete, doesn't it? I like takes out some of the hard graft and the manual work of this, but also that it's excellent that you do have that extra step where you actually ask someone if they're enjoying using your services. A little bit like you do with apps sometimes, that you get like, are you enjoying using this app? And if you click yes, it sends you to leave a review, and if you're not, then it sends you to a feedback form. I think that's really good because it means that people's first port of call is there, and you can actually act on the feedback without necessarily publicising it. And I think for a lot of businesses, specifically, businesses that serve a local audience, people in hospitality, people in employment, or people who are trying to recruit, I think it's brilliant. It's an absolutely fantastic tool. I'd be concerned that it might end up being reasonably expensive, though, or is it?
Well, you'd be happy to know. It's from about 15 pounds a month plus VAT.
Just £15. It's
just
hard to believe.
£15, and you can cancel any time, so no risk really. So £15 a month plus VAT. That's for your Google reviews. If you wanted loads of different platforms like Trustpilot and TripAdvisor and all the rest of it, I think it's about £21 plus VAT. And also, if you've got loads of different locations, if you've got like 5 restaurants, then obviously it's a little bit more. It's like £10 per location. So it's all pretty reasonable, and it will save you all that time anyway. And it will, for the price, you can't say no. But I think, we had a client that just opened up an amazing restaurant in a little village in the Black Country. Amazing restaurant. There's got nothing like it for sort of 10 miles around. And they even got quite a few sort of really picky reviews. Making sort of comments about, the atmosphere at 5:30 wasn't as lively as I thought. Oh, it's 5:30. Oh, it was too bright because the windows are too big. I'm thinking, hang on, you should be so happy that place has opened up on your doorstep. You've got nothing like it for 10 miles, and yet you feel like you should go in and have to criticize it. And unfortunately, they were then desperate to get us to have this review platform set up so they could have the QR codes in there, so it would act as a filter for these negative feedbacks. And since then, they really haven't had a negative feedback posted or published anyway. So, yes, it is useful. But thank you, Steve, for your time today and your opinions on reviews. And if anyone wants to leave us a review, just add your comments below. But thanks, Steve. Until next time.